Welcome to Mailbag. This is a series of videos about questions that you guys have left on the channel. I normally block them up into a series that I can record in an evening because that's how many questions you guys leave. So what you'll be seeing is this block header, and then you'll see the individual mailbag items that will follow as the next part of the video. But before we get into mailbag, which is about questions and answers and comments you guys leave on the channel, we must do the channel parish notices. And if you like videos about legacy tech, musical instruments, EDM, anything like that, hit the subscribe icon, because that's what this channel's all about. If you want to be notified when such videos hit the channel, it's the bell icon. Save yourself some time, hit both together. If you like the contents of the video, please give it a thumbs up. And also, I love you guys leaving comments on the videos down below. I read them, I comment on them, and sometimes you even give me ideas for future videos, which is really great stuff. It also allows other people to comment on something you've raised against a topic that was discussed in the video. Really, really good stuff. Also down there, Facebook and Instagram. Becoming more and more popular with you guys. A lot more of you are talking to me on those channels. Keep it up. It's probably the channel I'll respond to you most quickly on, because it's the channel in my pocket, as in it's on my phone. But please follow me on those particular platforms, and you'll see the normal channel shenanigans. And finally, down there is the important one. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can support the good work that this channel does towards EDM and legacy synthesizers. And now back to this video. This next question comes from Free State, and it's in response to the internals of this classic SY85 synthesizer, a video I did in August 2020. And they write, I realise that the horizontal screens of the DX5, SY85, CS6R are less prone to give problems than the TG77, the SY77 and the SY99 ones, which are in my case the TG77, and in the case of others have no backlight. This can be overcome by an external light in the case of a live performance, like the good old days of the first DX7. And I can remember, this is a really interesting, takes my mind back to how we used to illuminate instruments back in the day. I can remember having spotlights overhead and all kinds of things, and rack lights and little pygmy lights that used to sit on top of the racks. And I can remember the holes I played in where you had little or no light in the area you were given to play in. You know, you can go and set up over there, and it was utterly dark when they switched the lights off. And what I used to say, I used to have a T-bar on a tripod that used to sit above my head, and I used to be able to angle the spotlights onto the instruments. I used to have about 3 spotlights on this tripod, and I could sort of swivel them round to where I needed light. So I might have light on the rack, and I might have light on the keyboard and this keyboard, just so that I could see the panel. I can remember buying my first rack light, which was about £100. And back in the day, you know, spending £100 on a light was bonkers. The bottom line is there's still about £100 to actually go and buy a backlight, but the technology has moved on. The technology is now LED, whereas back in the day, as I say, a lot of these lights were these little pygmy bulbs, and if you over rotated the pygmy bulb, they tended for the glass bit to sort of like separate from the copper bit, and then you used to have to get a pair of pliers and try and get the pliers in there to actually take the bulb out, and you always had to carry spares because they were forever blowing, because they weren't very happy about being moved warm. But you know, but that light was a revelation when I bought it, because it meant I could see things. The way it illuminated the instrument just made it so easy for you to actually be able to see things, because it was literally just above the instrument, shining a pool of light across all the control panels. And you know, this was the effects unit, or maybe 1 or 2 slaves. So the mixer used to be in a rack, a couple of slaves, and an effects unit that was running, you know, all the effects that I was running. I can remember the rhythm lead and bassist once found out they had a hole for an audio cable that didn't need lights, and their pedals were pre-configured on the pedal board. So my mates used to do when I used to play is they have the distortion set up in one way and something else set up in another way, and they just knew where they were, so that they could you can't see it, but you could stamp on it with your foot, and you knew that pedal over there was this and that pedal over here was that. But they didn't need lights because they just pre-configured it. And drums, effectively, I mean, the great big damn thing, aren't they? You hit, and if you're, as a drummer, if you know how your drum rig is set up, you know exactly where the snare is and the toms and the crash cymbals and hi-hat and etc. That's all set up. It just becomes muscle memory then. So they had a large service, but us keyboard players, it wasn't that simple, because if you look at the front of the keyboard, there's a keyboard here where I've got my script sitting on top of, but there's all kinds of buttons on this keyboard that aren't, if you're in a low light situation, yes, you could see the screen, but you can't see all the buttons to the left and the right. They're very difficult to see in low light situation. And assuming you weren't playing a Moog, should I say, or equivalent that didn't have a screen, seeing the screen, you had no idea what patch you were actually playing. You could be playing anything. You could select anything. The whole sort of, as MIDI evolved, and you could set patch lists and send patch lists to various machines as you were playing them. But I used to have a pedal for doing this stuff, and quite often you tap the pedal and you double tap it and you move 2 on. So instead of moving to the next patch, you'd move to the patch after it, and then you press a key and you go, that's not the right sound, and then you'd have to sort of press the back one and hope you only tapped it once to get back to the patch you wanted. Oh my god, that brings back some memories. Really does.